Just a quick follow-up. Could Jive look at posts made by private profiles on Facebook or Twitter if you're keeping settings?
Only if their the privacy is set so that they allow it. Most people don't let just the general public see their personal comments, but it is a privacy setting issue, and one of the reasons why so many people have been so upset with Facebook because they basically said anything you post on Facebook is fair game unless you change your privacy settings. And so, you know, that's Mark Zuckerberg is, I mean, that's like one of my blog posts that hasn't been completed. It's about this whole privacy issue, what it means to all of us, what it means to businesses, frankly. That's what I want to write about because I think we want people to trust, you know, and Facebook has kind of been breaking some serious ground, and so has Google, that, you know, we kind of all need to figure out how to talk to the companies about how they don't breach the trust of their customers. You know, if they you know, this is all part of like, every company's different, everybody has different kinds of customers, and to understand the entire landscape, you can then figure out how that particular company speaks about it. But it's just, again, it's a different story for every single company, depending on what they're trying to achieve and who their customer is and how they communicate with them. And we create unique social media guidelines for every company. So we help them educate their employees on how to behave in their specific industry and about, you know, for instance, Leahy Clinic. I'm in a room with head of marketing, head of HR, head of IT, head of legal, and they're like, doctors are blogging. I'm like, well, don't you have a media policy that says they can't, you know, give medical advice without, you know, giving medical advice on a blog to doctors? I mean, they're smart people. It must be, right? Don't they get that publishing medical advice on a blog is the same thing as giving, you know, it's dangerous stuff. The hospital could be sued. I'm like, if you have a media policy, just add the word blog in there, you know? But it's just that people don't understand that blogs are actually bigger than the nightly news because blogs are going to be there forever. And now, of course, the nightly news in many cases is up on their websites forever too. But it's indexable, it's searchable. It's like, if I've got some disease and I search on it and a doctor at Leahy Clinic said, take this pill for this, you know, and I die, guess who's going to get sued? His employer, right, or him. So, you know, everything's relative to what you do. I mean, usually in our businesses, we're not worried about killing someone by optimizing in a certain way. But, you know, you want to make sure that these companies understand the impact of what they say online. Yeah.
So I assume you're not casting email marketing to the outer darkness by your exclusion of discussion with it tonight.
There's only so many hours in the day, but I use email. I use email marketing. So there's inbound marketing, which is what social media is. That's, you know, people coming to you. There's outbound marketing, which is you pushing stuff out. We use less of it, but in some cases, it's really valuable. For instance, Back-Based Shutter just launched their website 2 weeks ago, and we want their mailing list to know that they have a Facebook page that they can like, and that there's a new website with case studies on it. We're going to push out. An email or two to get those people engaged, and hope that we can bring them on board so that we don't have to do much more email marketing. We can keep them engaged through the Facebook page. Yeah.
I have a question. For the small business owner who's already overworked, and has too many things to do.
Yep.
When I look at social media opportunities, I get overwhelmed.
Yep, that's what
There's
it
so much
is.
stuff to do. I can go fix the customer's website, or I can go put in some delicious bookmarks. How does one determine what is really essential to them? And I can give you even a concrete example.
Yeah, do. That's helpful.
Okay.
Okay.
Christian owns a website called Keeper Stock. So he sells goalkeeping gloves, goalkeeper's gloves. Every soccer goalkeeper needs like, what, 2 or 3 pairs of gloves a year? And they're like $50 to $125 a pair.
And who buys them?
Parents.
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 So it's a consumer audience, and she apparently buys a lot of them.
I've only bought one, but they're.
Are you liking his
Great.
page?
I'm just learning about him now. My
Yes.
son will be very happy.
So, okay, his
So-
audience is parents.
I mean, the purchaser is the parents, but the audience could be the players or the parents.
Right,
They're
yep.
typically doing it together, or if they're older teenagers, they're doing it on their own. They know what they like, the parents are just there to pay for it, that's it.
Do you have any relationships with sporting facilities, sporting clubs, that sort of thing, or is it purely a retail consumer buy? Pure B2C?
Yeah, pure B2C. I mean, I've done grassroots marketing with goalkeeper trainers to help push the brand through them. But, I mean, I have an opted-in database that's exclusively, this is a very niche position, about 19,000 goalkeepers across the
Yeah.
country.
Okay. So, you can create videos about how your gloves work. You can tweet about soccer topics and goalkeeper topics. You can talk about cool goalkeepers out there in professional sports. You can create a Facebook page, and you can advertise to everyone who has the word soccer on their Facebook page to deliver up an ad for them, and they can get impressions or click-throughs. You can offer discounts and demos and blah, blah, blah on Facebook. But what you need to do is say, I'm not using LinkedIn because I'm not doing a B2B audience, and I'm going to focus my content on what consumer parents and their kids care about. It's all customized by what you're trying to achieve. You're trying to sell soccer goalkeeping gloves to parents and their kids. So what's the content they care about? What is the pain they're feeling? Like, is it about the cost? Is it about what soccer camps to choose? It's not just about selling gloves. It's about everything about the sport. It's about being a soccer enthusiast. Show your passion for the sport and show your authority on it. And then people will find you on all these places because you're going to start networking with other organizations that complement and don't compete with. And I mean network like online. So maybe you like all the different soccer websites or Facebook pages, and they reciprocate. And next thing you know, you're starting to get the word out about your glove to all these other people who care about soccer. Jonathan, it completely depends on what you're selling and who you're targeting and what you're trying to achieve. And like, I would not say to any of you to do everything. I would never ever say that because, and then somebody said, you're not going to tell me to set up a Facebook page. I said, I don't know what you're trying to do. What are you trying to do? Like, it's about marketing strategy. It's always been about marketing strategies. They're just new tools and they're very overwhelming. But the more you know about the tools, and you can pretty quickly determine what makes the most sense for this project, for this client.
I have a vanity URL on Facebook. I managed to bring in about 4,000 to 6,000 new email addresses a year. On my first email out to them and on my website, I'm going to put a join me on Facebook button. Should it go to my vanity URL, which is about my inn, or should it go to my own Facebook page? I'd rather go to my inn because that's what I'm trying to sell.
And when you say your vanity URL,
yeah,
what does it take you to?
it takes you to a whole Facebook page, a landing page about my inn.
Well, if you want them to fan your Facebook page, then it should go to the Facebook page. And I think, one of the things that I would say about an inn is, in some ways, you may not even need a website and a Facebook page, because the Facebook page can accommodate almost everything you need to do. All the pictures, all the content. I'm not saying get rid of them, but because I also talk about having multiple, properties, but what you want to be able to do is create a community by which people can write testimonials about how great the stay was.
Exactly.
You can, if you're making really good breakfast, you should be taking pictures of the breakfast and posting, this is what we served this week. We picked fresh blueberries last week, and look at the muffins we made. Give people a feeling of what it's like to stay at your inn, and get the people who stay there, every single person who stays at your inn, you ask them to please fan you and comment something you liked about it.
And then you go to that vanity URL page about the inn, not my Facebook page, correct?
No, go to your Facebook page. Yeah.
What are you calling a vanity
It's just, yeah.
Well,
Are you talking about
Are you talking about your fan page? Or
it's a
your
business
personal
page, yeah.
Yeah,
It's a
business
Oh,
business
so when you say my Facebook page, you're talking about your personal page? Personal Facebook page versus,
No, it's business.
it's business.
page. I have my
There's a
personal
website
Facebook page,
and there's a personal
but
Facebook page.
I'm using Facebook as a means to promote my business.
Right,
And to that end, I got 25 people to like me so I could get a vanity URL.
yes, good.
And-
Oh, got it, got it.
Okay, so
That's what you
now,
mean by vanity.
I can put that out as a landing page. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
In other words, they can go to Facebook at Cape Cod Harbor House Inn instead of
Mm-hmm.
Facebook Ken Commenda.
Now, you don't want them to go to your personal profile, and if you're not using your personal profile for personal,
No,
Means
I want them
to
to go
do-
to my vanity URL page.
right, so you could actually block your personal profile in the Facebook search, so they don't even find you
I don't care
personally.
about that.
But what I mean is, if you want, some people go and they friend you instead of fanning the page. And one of the things we did is when we started working with Dog Watch, all these dealers thought, oh, I'm gonna go and be friends with Catherine Weber. And I'm like, no, this is where my family is and my friends. I don't want my clients to be friends of me. And I say to them, I'm not gonna accept your request. Please go to my business page and fan my business page. So I said, no, you're not. This is where you should be, is in the business side of things. Because I don't talk, while the business posts sometimes on my Facebook page, it's not appropriate for them to see the other stuff, So,
I created 2 pages.
well, I think it's, so there's a business page, which gives you a lot of other resources than a personal profile.
Right.
It's a very different experience, and there are
And it
people.
comes up with the search better too.
Well, yeah, and people get very confused sometimes, and they create a profile for their business, and they don't understand that they've created a personal profile for the business. And that's an important distinction. So